Most of us are plagued by a cancerous attitude. Oftentimes, when we attempt to practice a new skill, we expect that we're gonna be good at it from the start. We don't want to think that we still have so much to learn. We don't want to feel inferior. We don't want to see someone better than us. And so we distance ourselves from the truth. That is, we actually suck and still have a lot to work on. If, however, we make a little bit of progress, we delude ourselves that we don't need to practice anymore, that we're now good enough, and thus turn a blind eye on our weaknesses. This dangerous attitude is rooted in the ego. Your ego is continuously looking for signs of boastfulness from your part. Be it comments like, "I'm above the process," or "Now that I've learned a couple tricks and techniques, I think I'm good enough." The second you stuff yourself with these delusions, the second you start showing off, ego will come into play and create an identity around your pride. From there, you'll start thinking that progress is for losers or beginners. You cease to practice, and the next thing you know, your skill gradually atrophies and you find yourself back to square one. To prevent this process from happening, you must cultivate the ability to realistically evaluate your progress. In your early stages of practice, you have to have a harsh look on yourself from time to time. You must admit that you really suck in some areas and need improvement. This is the only way to hinder your ego. Your motives for practicing shouldn't be to get to a certain level so you can relax and show off. Remaining humble, realistic, and retaining a firm tolerance to face your weaknesses without getting fazed by them is what's gonna push you ahead. The ego doesn't want to learn more. Ego wants to settle down and feel superior with the little things it has accomplished. And so, while others are stuck in beginner stages as they pride themselves for minor triumphs, you have the upper hand if you course correct on the regular and sustain self-detachment from your tiny achievements. Pat yourself on the back not for what you have learned today or yesterday, but only when you have accomplished something big. While creating a YouTube video, I tell myself that there will be a defect in the video after it's done. I don't know yet what will be the problem in this upcoming video, but I won't be able to recognize my mistake unless I admit beforehand that I'm gonna make a mistake. I acknowledge that there will be a flaw before I'm even finished creating the video, because I know that nothing is perfect, everything is subject to improvement. This is the mindset you should be operating on. Every time you make a new product, a new song, painting, or whatever, repeat it to yourself aloud. This is not the best I can do. It's obviously better than previous, but I can always improve. When you continually acknowledge that every new product you make is imperfect, you leave no room for your ego to fill in the blank. You know, I can burst with rage and bite back when people leave negative comments on my channel, but I simply ignore and let them be, because I know that that person commenting like that is a clear sign of boyishness from his part. He's unable to provide feedback in a manly manner. People alike own zero control over their emotions, and so they can't help but walk around emanating negative vibes. You shouldn't take their unconsciousness personally. If someone ridicules or criticizes you harshly, you can react in two dissimilar ways. Option A, you can burst with rage and fight back, which conveys that his remark had its effect on you and that you're actually insecure. Option B, smile and ignore. This reaction conveys that you are secure with yourself. You know your worth and that no one else can tell you who you are but yourself. Ego will seduce you into striking back to protect your jeopardized self-image. You will hear the ego saying, "Dude, this guy said this and this about you. You should bite back. Show him what you're about." Remember, only the insecure will bite back. The guy who has tamed his ego embodies a certain degree of self-control that enables him to respond to any kind of negativity with sheer poise and non-reactiveness. He knows what he's about and realizes that no one else can define his worth but himself. I want you to spot the difference between doing actual work and talking about your work on social media. For example, I could waste 6 hours on Facebook talking about how cool my next upcoming video is gonna be like, or spend those 6 hours working on my next video. A boxer can spend a month talking on Facebook about how he's gonna win the championship, or he could spend a month training for that championship. You see the difference? Let's say you're a blogger. Now, wasting time watching videos about blogging isn't considered work. Ego is constantly looking for ways to trick you into thinking that you're actually working when you're doing things related to your work, such as responding to emails, sharing status updates and quotes on your fan page, Twitter page, and watching videos related to your field, etc. Ego wants to feel superior with these tiny achievements. Now, there is no magic potion for this. Simply replace pretending to be creative with being creative. You're not gonna compose your next song by watching 1,000 videos about composing. You must sit down and actually compose. You're not gonna write your next book by talking on social media about how awesome it's gonna turn out. At the end of the day, it's not gonna write itself. Oftentimes, when you do accomplish something big, ego intertwines itself with your success. You then start identifying yourself with your triumphs. You're no longer John per se, you're now John the rockstar, John the CEO, the rich, or whatever. Your motives are no longer about building a great company or producing awesome music. You now continue to work to feed and reinforce that self-image you've built. Like, I no longer go to work because I enjoy working, I go to work because I'm the boss, and being the boss feels good. The consequences for this cancerous attitude is when your business fails, when your empire collapses, when you're no longer that famous rock star, that powerful image of yours you've been toiling to feed and protect shatters to the ground. You will then turn insane. You'll literally go nuts because you're now left with no identity whatsoever. This is how dangerous ego can be. To break or prevent this egocentric image from forming in the first place, you need to revise your motives on a daily basis. Why are you in it in the first place? What's your purpose behind working? Recognition, promotions, fame, approval, big bucks. All of these are short-term egocentric motives. This kind of motivation is always about me, and me. It's about what can I take, what's in it for me. Your purpose should be grounded in contributing, sharing, growing, helping, and building something great. I'm not saying you shouldn't aspire for money and power, that's totally fine. But if that's your sole incentive, it's gonna show off in your work and your product or content is gonna suck. You should balance your motivation with higher aims like, okay, I want to be powerful so I can teach others to be more powerful. I want to rise to the top so I can help others rise as well. Always make sure your motives are selfish and selfless at once. Balance is key. Ego is the enemy.